morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, to the channel IT Simplified. Hope you're having good time with your family and friends and liking this session. In today's session on Azure, I'm here to talk about cost management, what it is, and how you can utilize it. Now, when we talk about cloud, I always think of this as a big showroom. Now, if I have to use an analogy, think of it as the Walmart or the Costco. Now, when you go to these showrooms or these big box store, you have this options of buying anything basically. If you want to buy grocery, you want to purchase clothes, you want to get your car fixed, you have all these options available. Now think of it, if as a customer you have a credit card and it has a monthly limit of say $50,000. Sometime it gets difficult to keep a control in a way that on your spending, that you have this liberty of buying everything with this money, but at the same time you got to be aware that at the end of the month you have to pay this money back. And if I use the same analogy and apply this to businesses, when we talk about cloud, you have these resources available which you can deploy, the smallest compute node to the most expensive one. And that is where you need to have policies and all these restrictions in place to make sure that people who have that authority, they don't just go overboard. Only the resources which are required, they deploy that only. And from the cost management perspective, you need to have tools in place so that you can keep a track of what are the spending habits, and you should have built-in alert notification mechanism. Now, when we talk about Microsoft Azure, cost management is a tool which is especially very helpful when you are talking about managing these costs and keeping a control of your spending. And that is what I'm here to talk about. So I'm already on my Azure portal, and to reach cost management, there are different ways. I can just do a search for cost management and billing. It will take me to that place. I can also go from subscription. I only have one in my case, so you have the cost management, and I can just go here and it will take me to that place. I've already opened, so let's look at this. So in the cost management, there are a couple of options you have. You have cost analysis, on which I'm on. Then you have cost alerts, budget, and you also have the advisor recommendation. Let's look at cost analysis. Now you can see, you can definitely download this information from here. But in my last video, I have showed you how you can export these files to a storage account, and then you can use that to drill down and further analyze your spending habits and which resources are consuming the maximum amount. But the first option you can see that is the scope. Now I only have one subscription, and this is at the root management level. But if you want to have information about your spending at the resource group level, you can also specify that, right? So you can tweak the properties accordingly. But in my case, I'm going to keep the scope at the subscription level. Now, the view that we are looking at is the accumulated cost. I can always change it: cost by resource, daily, cost by service, or invoice detail. And you can also change the time span that you want to analyze the cost for. You can go this month, this quarter, this year, last month. So all these options are available: last 7 days, last 30 days. You can customize your date range, and you can further apply filters. So you want to analyze the cost based on specific location, specific resource. You can also do that. But let's look at the accumulated cost, and this for the month of April. If I want, I can change it by cost by resource. So maybe if you want to look at the cost your storage is consuming, your public IP, bandwidth, it will give you information about that. So I have a couple of resource group under this subscription, and you can see the cost of the storage, the disk attached, basically the blob storage, right? You can further drill down into, but this might not be, this doesn't look that good to me. So what I want to do is I want to change it to maybe daily cost. So let's look at what it gives us. And I like this better. So you can see that based on daily usage. So right away I can see that the actual cost is 917, forecasted is 950.77, and the maximum cost you can see is it's in the light blue basically. So I knew that I had Azure Active Directory domain services, and that is where the most of the cost was coming from, and I have deleted that actually. So you will see that the forecast price will be down. I just did it yesterday, so something to point out here. Then you have the AK infra, then you have the Greece RG, and then you also have the forecasted cost here. Now, if I scroll down, you can see I also have this pie chart basically based on the services, the one that I explained. And if I move my cursor, you can see it gives me information about where the cost is coming from. It's storage, load balancer, virtual machine, virtual network, and you can see the corresponding cost associated with that. Most of my resources are deployed. Actually, all my resources are deployed in Canada Central, so you'll see the location. But if you have multiple location, you can change the view over here too. Then you can also drill down based on resource group. So if you have multiple resources or actually resource group in your environment, you can see under that resource group where the cost is coming from. Maybe if you have a resource group dedicated maybe for HR, for finance, for sales, for IT, you can tag it, you can customize it, and it will give you the cost accordingly. So that's great. And I can always download this or I can export that to the storage account to further analyze this, right? So that is part of the cost analysis. Now, other option I have is cost alert. And as I said that, that's very important feature. Yes, I can see this, but I should be able to automate these process in a way that when there is a certain threshold reach for my cost, I should be sent automatically alerts. It can be based on email, SMS, voice messages, or whichever option available. So let's go and check that. And here I can also change the scope of my alerts. It is right now at the Azure plan, which is I'm going to keep it as a default. But if you want to keep it at the resource group level, you can do that too. But let's click on the add button, and you can give a budget detail unique name. So let's say I want to name it Ingram budget. You can reset the period. You can go by monthly, quarterly, or annually. So let's pick the default, which is monthly. So you can specify that it resets every month, and you can specify the creation date. You can also specify the expiration date. So in this case, it's saying that it is for 2 years. So every month it will reset, but you can specify that it's only for this year, or maybe you want to have a specific date in mind. Now, for the amount, you want to put a threshold. Now you can see that it is giving me information about based on my budget. It is the forecast is $83. If you remember from the previous tab, it was close to $900. Now I know that I'm not going to consume that many resources because I deleted Azure ADDS, which was costing me a lot. So based on that forecast, it's saying that $83 is the forecasted cost for the next month. Uh, Assuming that you're not going to add any more resources. If you add more resources, obviously it's going to go up. But this is based on the information the last 3 4 days I had. So what I'm going to do is for the amount, I'm going to put $100 forecast based on $83 what is saying over here, right over here you can see. So you saw that it was only in the month of April that I had this spike, sorry, because I added that service. But before that, it was all under $100, and that's where you see the threshold, right? For me, it is saying that I should be getting at least close to $83. So that's why I have put the forecast here or the threshold to $100, just to be on the safer side. So let's go to next. And here I can put the alert condition. I can put the alert condition based on actual, or I can put the alert condition based on forecasted. So my forecasted cost is say $100. So I'm going to put say 80%. When it reaches 80% of $100, which is $80, I should automatically get a notification, and I can specify who should be getting the notification. I can give my email address, or I can give the email address of the specific person. I can add multiple email addresses over here, right? You can specify the default language, and yeah, you can see right over here. So this is the actual cost. This the forecast is close to $100. Now, if I want more options other than just the email, I can also go and click on Manage Action Group, and here I can create new action group. Now with this, it gives me more options of how I want to achieve the notification. Now for that, I need to put in the resource group. I need to give a name. Let's say action group. And if I go into the notification, you can see I can email to Azure Resource Manager role, so the person who is in charge for these costs, or you can always have email, SMS, push, voice, all these options also there. So here I can put email, and you can have the email address of the concerned person. I can also get the SMS when it reaches that threshold. There is also Azure app push notification, the voicemail. So there are different options available within that action group. Otherwise, the previous one that we were looking at, it will just send an email. So depending upon what is your requirement as a company, you can definitely have more option by creating this new action group. So I'm not going to do that right now, but let me just come out of this. And that is how it ties up with basically the budgets, right? I could have done this, but cost alert ties up with budget, and that is what we were here for. And then you also have the advisor recommendation, basically, because as you know, that Azure Advisor is a free tool within Azure environment, and it will give you recommendation how to bring the cost down. So maybe if you're running a VM, which is pay as you go, you can convert that into a reserve instance. You can lock it down for maybe 1 year or 3 year. Then you will see the reduction in the cost based on the compute. It is a saving of close to 40 to 60% based on what the duration of the time you're picking up. So these are some of the options available for you when it comes to managing cost, analyzing it, and to keep a track of how your subscription is behaving, how the resources are behaving, and you can also have exported this into a storage account. You can download these. A lot of options available. So this was a quick overview of cost management within Azure. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.